everyone, how's it going? Nate here. It's Thursday, and you know what that means. It's time for another tips and tricks video. Now, I know for the past few weeks we've been diving into a DAW and how to use it, but just recently I had DJ Temple from Without Mercy, Temple Entertainment, and Temple Music Academy down here to film an episode of the Concrete Wasteland podcast, and he had some really insightful things for everyone. So what I did is I dove down and I found 6 key things from that episode I think you need to be paying attention to, and that's what we're going to dive into on this episode. So here we go. Okay, so the first thing DJ had obviously talked about was Temple Entertainment, how it started, what it's about, what he's about, and everything that correlates with that. There were some very important things that he started out with that I think I wanted to accentuate in this clip, but I do stress that with all of these are just key points for you to keep in mind when you go and watch or listen to the full episode that comes out this coming Saturday. So with this one, he goes in and talks a bit about Temple Entertainment and Temple Music Academy itself.
That's the Music Academy. The Temple Entertainment will deal with anything a band needs to get done. I thought you should have had a face you could trust and a brand you could trust. And the easiest way to do that was to start a business where you knew you had to pay me and you knew I was making money off of it. So it just didn't create any kind of like smokescreen. We do websites, graphics, logos, videos. We'll do tour booking, basically anything an indie band needs help with. You call us. Fuck, we even do your taxes now. We hired a actual like CPA, legit accountant, specializing in self-employed people that are musicians, and it's just this fucking thing. People think though
and there's a lot more after that, so be sure to tune in. The next one is on staying humble, which is very key for a lot of us who've been at this for years and years. Those of us that have been playing bands in the underground scene for a year, 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, 8 years. Like, there are certain things that we all need to keep in mind, and he touches on this in depth throughout the episode, but this is just the key starting point that I think everyone should hear right now.
Entitlement and then justification on the negative and horrible actions, and then at the end of the day, like, dude, I had some fucking brutal shit. Like, I'll never forget being on tour and getting a phone call from a band out of, I think, somewhere in Saskatchewan or Manitoba, going, we just got to the first, like, oh, this is a fucking horror story. We just got to our first stop on the tour, and the venue owner doesn't know who the fuck we are. There's no show. There's no posters. I paid you $1,000 to, or I'm making that up, I think it was like $500, to book this tour. What the fuck? And my heart sank because I had no idea who the fuck the band was. I didn't do any of this. And it was somebody else that was working for me, took a job on the side, and booked this tour, and money exchanged hands.
Under your name.
Under my name.
This next one is good for those of you that I really wanted to help out, and that's you new musicians and you young musicians that are just starting to figure stuff out. Now, in former episodes, we've dived into the complexities and the small things you can do to make your life easier when you're starting a band or demoing or getting ready to go to the studio or play your first few shows. But there's a few things DJ touched on that he thought you all should keep in mind as well. And just pay attention to this, and then later on, when you go to listen to the episode on Saturday, really open up your ears at that point in time, because there's a lot of good advice that'll come from him.
What is some advice that you would give to young musicians picking up their very first instrument?
In what regard? Like they're the hobbyist or they're trying to start a band?
Starting a band.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I do both?
Yeah,
yes.
do both.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, if you're a young musician just starting music lessons for the sake of like whatever reason starting music lessons, your parents want you to practice because they're throwing so much money at this because it's expensive. They're throwing money at your lessons that they want to feel some sense of value. Learn to shut your parents up by playing 20 minutes a day in front of them. Because the reality of playing a musical instrument is you are unaware of the benefits it will give you in life. It is not something that is easily tangible with what it will do for you in life. You might be playing drums and going like, well, I'm never going to be a drummer. I just want to play drums. But you're like the discipline you will learn, the success, the feelings, the all the like emotional stuff that comes, it's fucking worth just playing 20 minutes of like Sweet Home Alabama so your mom and dad shut the fuck up. But also learn, as I tell all of my students, to do it in front of grandma and grandma with your case open so that they learn to throw money in the case and you make a little on the side. I say that all the time, and some kids started doing it, and then the parents think it's so cute, and the grandparents that they throw a little thing and they're busking grandchildren. I'm like, yeah, see, got a system.
Yeah, I'm teaching them.
If you're starting out as a band, this is very, very serious to me. If you're starting out as a band, never lose sight of why you want to do it in the first place, and realize that literally everyone else on the planet is out for you to fail. You are nothing. Nobody gives a shit about you. So don't lose focus on why you started in the first place. And just because so-and-so's band got a better gig than you, better is very subjective. Just because you're on a different placement on the bill, tonight we've moved the bill order like 4 times. I just basically gave up and started talking to you about, just tell me when we play.
Yeah, because I generally stay in the know because I need to know what's going on or else my anxiety just goes nuts.
Yeah.
Sean helps coordinate.
That's my advice. Never lose sight of why you do it. And sooner than later, get a mentor. Find someone that's been successful to your definition of successful and ask them how they did it, and don't reinvent the wheel. Just copy and you'll skip ahead 5-6 steps.
Mm-hmm. Do it for you.
Yes.
So obviously, DJ has been at this for a long time. You're going to hear a lot of good stories throughout the entire episode, but it's not all glitz and glamour. There's a lot of hardships that happen throughout any band career, but especially for someone like DJ, who's not only doing the band thing, but he's trying to educate the next wave of musicians. He's trying to build something in his community and in a religious community that would actually not really enjoy a metalhead coming in and trying to teach music. But there's a way that he's trying to break boundaries and really make things work. And these are just a few of the hardships that he's had to endure while doing that.
What's the main hardship you encountered when you started trying to take it from bedroom to actual office space?
People. I've lost more friends than I would ever. I've experienced things I never wish another human being to experience, and it all bred from entitlement and stealing and theft and justification on the theft because they weren't paid enough for some magical number of hours or whatever, and then the rumor mill because they thought the best way to like I had someone straight steal a MacBook, and somehow I'm still the bad guy in the scenario. And it's just the classic like high school thing of like, I'm going to do something really bad. Now, before anybody else can know what I'm going to do really bad, I'm going to go over here and beak off lies and exaggerate the story.
Distraction.
And they don't realize that that's slander. Like in a business scenario, that is literally slander. And that's a bad fucking road to go down.
Okay, so we're down to the final 2. This one is based on harsh realities, and that's something all of us need to come to terms with. If you're in this to play music and have fun, that's great, but there are still things that you need to come to terms with when you're doing this, when you are trying to take your band out of the basement or out of the garage, out to venues and out of town. And this can apply to not just musicians, but anyone within this realm. That's audio engineers, that's promoters, that's even venue owners to an extent. But here are some of the harsh realities, and there are even more that are shown on the episode that you should all pay attention to.
What is the one harsh reality you had to come to terms with when you went down that road and actually started putting your efforts into it?
You ain't shit. Nobody gives a fuck about you. Nobody will ever give a fuck about you. Stop crying, do something, and stop giving a fuck what other people think.
Fuck yeah.
I can simplify that into 2 words. Get good.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the issue that you run into, like, as a band, here we go. Okay, as a band, the issue is it is an art form which should never be judged. It should be subjective, but it is constantly judged, and you are given opportunities, and opportunities are taken away from you based on what you've done, how you've said it, who you've done, which is literally a problem, and what you plan to accomplish, and then how you're dressed while you're doing it, how you speak while you're doing it, what interviews did you do, how much money are you willing to throw behind this thing? Well, I'm willing to get printed tickets. If you sell me 10 tickets, then I'll give you a cut of the last 10% of the first 5% of the people that come through the door that are over 19 and wearing a hat.
Like the mental lingo there.
The fucking shit you have to do is absolutely ridiculous. And then that's the problem, is after you do it for 4 or 5 years, you start to say things like, I shouldn't have to sleep in a van. I shouldn't have to be the second band on. We are more of a band that goes only last, or we are more of this, that, the other thing. And that's the entitlement that will kill you. And you're done. You're dead in the fucking water the second you start talking about that.
And it all comes down to this. While you are listening to the podcast, keep this one thing in mind. If you don't take away any of the other 5, this 6th one is the one that you need to really take away from this episode, not just here, but when you listen to the podcast. And I cannot stress enough how much it'll be worth your time, even just to put it on the background and listen. Aside from some anecdotes, there's some really key information, and it all circles around entitlement and what that is doing to everyone in our scene, and how we are really shooting ourselves in the foot with this mindset. He's going to touch on a few things, but I cannot stress enough how much you should really pay attention to this when listening or watching the episode.
What's one fundamental thing you see most bands screwing themselves over with?
Entitlement. 100%. They're also assholes. Hey, DJ, what's up, buddy? Well, how would I go about doing this? You should really blah. Well, no, I'm not going to do that because that's a blah. All right, well, bye.
I'll just go fuck myself then.
Yeah, I have said that. I say that all the time. It's fucking great. I hope you were quoting me there, because otherwise that was good. I guess I'll just go fuck myself. But
half and half. I was quoting super bad.
Oh, fuck, is it super bad? Damn it. Yeah, every time. We played with a bunch of bands at Edmonton, and I walked up to them and I was like, hey, you guys are great. Can I give some friendly advice? And walls went up and they took steps back and assumed poses. And my advice was just going to be, you should, here's advice that I do. You should dictate one member of your band that the second you were done your set, beelines it to the merch table.
Yes. Oh,
Everybody
my God. Yes.
And that's how they got offended or on guard from.
Yeah, I was like, hey, can I just give some friendly advice? And they're like, blah. And then I said, you should dictate one person from your merch table, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, oh, okay. And they're kind of like blowing it off. And I was like, because there was 7 people at your merch table wanting to buy shit. And now they're not there.
And you want to...
All right, so I hope everyone is excited for that to come out. I really am. It's episode 50 of the podcast. I've been doing it for about 2 years, and it's been starting to pick up some steam. We've been getting bands from Asher Media recently, and it's been really fun to showcase some of that music from out east as well as out west with everyone that's submitted so far. Hitting 50 episodes is rather amazing. I didn't think we'd get past 20, and it's been a lot of hard work, and it's been worth it. We've gone to festivals, we've interviewed some really cool people, and I really think you all can take something key away from this podcast episode that is coming out. You can check it out on Google Play, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and SoundCloud, as well as on Cat and Evan's MetalLitterbox.com. It'll be airing at 6:30 a.m. on all those platforms, and I'll even have a video on the YouTube channel here, and you should be able to actually go and find it and hit the bell notification, because it should be set to premiere. So go, do all that, get ready, and enjoy the episode. And next week, we'll dive more into DAW-related content. Without further ado, take care, have a good week, and we'll see you next time.